Bear with me for a few minutes whilst I talk about this behemoth of a vehicle. It's a Ford F250 and it really stands out in 5-dock because there are only two like it in the area. Just remember, we're in the inner west here and we have quite a few very narrow streets that look like this. You wouldn't think a 6.5 metre long vehicle that's also up to 2 feet wider than most other cars would be a good fit in this neighbourhood, but whatever, it's their choice. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this particular F250 is that when I visit Warringah every week or so, I've seen it parked in a street that we lived in for about 5 years. We knew the previous owners of this house in a vague manner. Our kids went to school together, so we would stop and chat about the dogs, since we both owned two each, whether the kids were playing soccer this year, how school was going, and that sort of thing. We were acquaintances rather than friends. I've walked, cycled, or driven up and down the street well over 1,000 times, so you could say I know it fairly well. I'm mentioning this so you don't think I'm some sort of insane stalker. So why bring this up at all? Well, our kids walk to school most days. Not every day, but most days. And whenever I can, I go with them in order to also give myself and the dogs a bit of exercise. The kids peel off at school, and I keep on walking towards Abbotsford before turning around and heading home. Occasionally I'll make it all the way up to Abbotsford Rowing Club, but most of the time I turn around before then because, 5 kilometres is generally enough. Now, when I was walking along Pine Avenue, I noticed this F250 heading towards me, and given I had a rough idea of where it's usually parked, I thought, surely they can't be driving to school. I stopped and turned around and watched for a moment, and yes, they turned into Halley Street, which is where the school is. Okay, I then thought that maybe they were dropping a kid off before continuing on to work. That would make sense. Except that as I walked into Caranto Street to get a mid-walk coffee from Trovatino's, I noticed the F250 parked just up the road. This was probably the way they went, 800 metres to school and then 850 metres home. And when we lived in Caranto Street, this is how the kids walked or cycled to school. You can take a shortcut through a park that joins Caranto Street to Warringah Street, giving a distance of about 600 metres each way. It wasn't that hard to walk to school with the kids and then walk home. If I had to go to the office, I'd push my bike with them to the top of Halley Street and we'd part ways and I'd keep on riding into town. I could also cycle home from work and time it so that I could arrive at the end of the school day and we could walk home together. It wasn't that hard. I get that people choose driving to school over walking for all sorts of reasons, and I'm not going to get on my high horse like a green loon and complain about people killing the planet and boiling the oceans and that sort of thing. We get enough of that kind of crazy fear-mongering from politicians. Instead, let's just think about this from a congestion and parking angle. This school has just over 450 students. Imagine the queue of cars if all of them got to and from school every day by car. Your average car is 4.6 to 4.7 metres long, or about 15 feet, from tit to tail. When lining up, of course, you need to leave a bit of space at the front and the rear, so let's say each car needs at least 6 metres of road space. A line of 450 cars would be a bit under 3 kilometres of road space. And of course, those cars aren't rolling along at 50 kilometres an hour. They're sitting there, moving forward in fits and starts in order to get to the kiss and drive spot where they can do the pick up or drop off. It's no wonder the streets around every school in our area are choked between 8 and 9 am and around 3 pm. What happens though if everyone starts driving a 6.5 metre long behemoth like the F250? Suddenly you need to allocate maybe 9 metres per vehicle, so you need about 4 kilometres of road space in total. You've gone from 450 cars needing a bit under 3 kilometres of tarmac to 4 kilometres without increasing the number of cars on the road. A 33% increase in road clogging without moving one additional person or driving any further distance. Now, thankfully, many parents let their kids walk or ride to school or walk with them, so congestion is nowhere near as bad as it could be if everyone did it. But it must be getting worse because this week, Council made a second pickup zone outside the school permanent. This enables the street and the surrounding streets to be clogged in both directions. I'm just saying a lot of that congestion and the need for a second pickup zone would evaporate if more kids walk to school more often. It's not distantly located families that are clogging up our streets. It's the locals doing it to themselves. We only have ourselves to blame. And by the way, less road space would be required if we went back to driving reasonably sized cars.